When you go on a vacation to Walt Disney World, it takes a lot of planning. Do you need to do all that same planning if you're going to Disneyland in California? The short answer is no, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in today's video. Hello everyone, my name is Heather and this is Heather Travels. I want to talk to you today about how to plan your trip to Disneyland in California. Disneyland is located in Anaheim, California, and it's Walt Disney's original theme park. We love Disneyland, and if you want to see more about it, you can watch my Disneyland video from the last time we went there in 2012 right here. Okay, Disneyland is really more of a locals theme park. It has a lot of annual pass holders and people from the Los Angeles area that visit there all the time. And it's also considerably smaller than Walt Disney World. Disneyland is surrounded by a lot of regular hotels and businesses and restaurants. The LA Convention Center is right across the street, so there's a lot of conventioneers that are there all the time. It's really more of a local regional theme park than Walt Disney World, how Walt Disney World is more of a worldwide vacation destination. Whereas Walt Disney World has 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, golf courses, and over 25 on-site hotels, Disneyland is much smaller and much more manageable. Disneyland has 2 theme parks, Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure. And they are literally separated by just yards. They're right across this little esplanade, and you can very easily walk from one to the other in just a matter of a couple minutes. Along with that is a little area known as Downtown Disney that is like a shopping and dining area. Goes from the esplanade and back. It's not a huge area. It's easily walkable. And there are only 3 on-site Disneyland resort hotels. Disney's Grand Californian, which actually has its own private entrance to Disney California Adventure, the Disneyland Hotel, and Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel. The prices of all 3 of these would be considered comparable to the deluxe category at Walt Disney World, so that kind of gives you an idea of price. But I can tell you that the Grand Californian is the most expensive, the Disneyland Hotel is the second most expensive, and Paradise Pier is the least expensive of those 3. But even Paradise Pier is going to be in the $250 to $350 a night range. Okay, so if you're going to go to Disneyland, what are the steps that you need to take to plan your Disneyland vacation? First of all, I'm going to tell you, it's way less stressful than planning your vacation to Walt Disney World. If you want to see the steps for planning your vacation to Walt Disney World, I made a video about that, and I will link it right here. Okay, there's really only 4 steps for planning your trip to Disneyland. And this is kind of assuming that you're coming from far away. Okay, but even if you're not, step number 1 is to choose your dates. This was the same as step number 1 for planning your trip to Walt Disney World. So choose when you're going to go to Disneyland. Once you got that on the calendar, you can do the other 3 steps. You do not need as much time at Disneyland as you need at Disney World. You can probably get by with Disneyland even with as little as 2 days, although I wouldn't recommend it because the original Disneyland park alone has way more attractions and rides packed into it than any of the theme parks at Walt Disney World. So I recommend at least 2 full days for Disneyland Park and at least 1.5 days for Disney California Adventure. So I feel that 3 to 5 days is about the window of time you would need for a good visit to Disneyland. Okay, second step is to reserve your hotel. At Disneyland Resort, you have a lot of options because there are a lot of hotels all around within walking distance. I would highly recommend that you find a hotel that is within walking distance because there's so many options. There's really no reason to be spending time driving a car there every day and paying to park in the parking ramp when you can easily walk there from a lot of hotels. There are hotels literally across the street. One example I can think of that we've considered is the Fairfield Inn. It's literally across the street. It takes 5-10 minutes to walk into Disneyland Park from the hotel. All 3 of the Disneyland owned hotels are on property and are walkable. Some of them are a little bit of a distance, but Paradise Pier is the farthest one away. But last time we were there, my son was 4 and he walked it every day there and back, no problem. So, and then when you get down like on Catella, there's some newer places like Residence Inn, there's a Hilton. Any of the hotels that are by the convention center are only about a half-mile walk, so 6 blocks. So totally doable. So find a hotel that's in your price range. Maybe it's something that you already are like a member of and you want to earn your points or use your points. There's plenty of options around the Disneyland Resort for hotels. Find a hotel that you like, find a hotel that fits your price range and that's comfortable for you and your family, and make the reservation. That's step number 2. Step number 3 for planning your trip to Disneyland is to book your transportation. So unless you live somewhere within driving distance of Disneyland, which a lot of people do, and you're driving there in your own car, you're going to need to reserve either a flight or a train. You can take the train, or you're going to need to rent a car or some combination of those. So, as soon as you know when you're going, any time in there between then and when you go, you're going to want to reserve these things. There are a couple airport options. You can fly into LAX. You can fly into John Wayne. There's a couple options for airports. So depending on what airline you use and your dates, one option might be better for you. There is something called Disneyland Resort Express. It's actually a bus transportation option, and it's through Gray Line. But that's not like Disney's Magical Express at Walt Disney World that's included. Disneyland Resort Express is an extra charge, but it's pretty reasonable. So if you know that you're going to be staying at a hotel within walking distance of Disneyland and you don't really want to go anyplace else while you're there, this is what we did the last time. We used Disneyland Resort Express from LAX, and we just stayed right on Disney property the whole time, and then we used Disneyland Resort Express to get back to LAX, and we went home. So unless you're doing some other attractions in Southern California, you really could get away without using a car. But if you plan to do other things in Southern California on your trip, then you are going to need a car because California is definitely a car state. Okay, step number 4, and the final step in planning your trip to Disneyland, is to make dining reservations. Maybe. You can only make dining reservations for table service restaurants at Disneyland up to 60 days ahead. It's way less pressure. You really can probably get a dining reservation any place you want to eat at Disneyland, no problem. The same day, a week ahead. It's not a big deal. There aren't actually that many table service options at Disneyland. Disney World is definitely more of like a foodie destination with a lot of choice for table service restaurants. Disneyland only has a few. So, look at what there is on the website. See if there's any place you really want to eat for table service and go ahead and make a reservation 60 days or less ahead of time. But it's really not necessary. You can probably walk up to almost any of them and get in the same day. So that's kind of a bonus step, is to make dining reservations, but it's not necessary. Please also note there is no Disney dining plan at Disneyland. You're going to be paying out of pocket for all of your food. So those are the 4 pretty simple, easy steps for planning a trip to Disneyland. It's way easier and way less stress than going to Walt Disney World in Florida. Disneyland is really kind of designed to just go there. One last note I want to tell you about, Fastpass. You cannot make Fastpass reservations ahead of time at Disneyland the way you can at Walt Disney World. You have 2 options for Fastpasses at Disneyland. They have the traditional paper Fastpass system, which is free, which is where you go up to a kiosk in the park near the attraction that you want to get the Fastpass for, and they have lots of rides that are on Fastpass. You put your ticket or your key card, your ticket card, it's just a ticket. Yeah, they don't have magic bands at Disneyland. Sorry. You put your ticket in the kiosk, and it spits out a Fastpass on a little piece of paper for you, giving your return window. It's totally free, easy to use. There's ways that you can maximize that system so you can get a lot of Fastpasses in a day. It's really no problem. It does require a little bit of running around the park to get the fast passes, but some people actually prefer it over the Fastpass Plus system at Walt Disney World. The second option at Disneyland is you can get MaxPass. MaxPass is an extra charge. MaxPass is on the My Disney Experience app for Disneyland. You cannot get it until you are physically in the theme park. So it knows where your phone is, and so it's not going to let you do it, but it gives you unlimited fast passes, one at a time, for an extra charge. Originally it was $10 per person per day, and I think it's gone up to $15 per person per day. But if you're going when it's busy, it's a really good thing to have. I definitely plan on using it the next time we go to Disneyland. And one of the extra bonuses of using MaxPass is included with that price is your memory maker or your photo pass. So it includes all the photos that the photo pass photographers take for you in a digital download. So that's kind of nice, because if you were planning on buying memory maker anyway at Disneyland of all your photos that the photo pass photographers take, you might as well get MaxPass and just get it that way. So that's a little bit more about Disneyland. I hope that was really helpful to you guys if you're planning a trip to Disneyland sometime soon. Please stay tuned for all of my other upcoming how-to travel tip videos. Thanks for joining me today on Heather Travels, and safe travels.